Let's begin a look at the papers this morning with the Guardian newspaper, which leads with this story. Inflation, major determinant of living wage negotiations, says NLC. Find the details of that story on page 6 of the paper today. The Daily Times newspaper is talking about cybersecurity levy. TUC threatens total shutdown if. That's the lead story. Decries levy as extortion, illogical, coming at a time Nigerians are grappling with high cost of living. Levy provocative, suspend it. Dean of Borno Elders Forum tells Tinubu. And look at the Nigerian News Direct today. Nigerian News Direct has this one on its front page. VAT Presidential Committee considers exemption of basic items, review of sharing formula. Proposes harmonization of consumption to promote ease of doing business, seeks to introduce tax returns on gas companies. That's the lead story of the Nigerian News Direct today. And look at the Nigerian Observer. CBN lists authorized deposit money banks, merchant non-interest banks, and suspends charges on cash deposits as currency in circulation rises to 93.8%. Blueprint newspaper has this on its front page. $150 million bribery allegation by Binance Diversionary. According to the federal government, reps probe controversy, CEO Anjawala's escape from NSA custody, and decry porosity of nation's security architecture. That's the story of the Blueprint newspaper. Business Day newspaper has this on its front page. Cocoa rush. Farmers revive old trees amid price surge. The details you find on the inside pages of the paper this morning. And look at Daily Trust, a rather unpleasant story. Road crashes kill 295, injure 315 in 3 months. The details of that you find on the inside pages of the Daily Trust newspaper. New Telegraph newspaper has this on its front page. Why FG must review de-radicalization program. According to retired general and DSS director, it's all about insecurity. And look at the writers. Insists ex-combatants must be prosecuted. We've been abandoned by elected politicians, their appointees, according to Niger villagers. Banditry, kidnapping affecting school enrollment in Kaduna, according to Governor Sani. As the lead story of the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. Vanguard newspaper has this story on its front page this morning. Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, LP, PDP, Rep Afenifere kick. Asumahi battles Atiku. Quite a number of riders on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Look at the Nigerian Tribune for its lead story. The Nigerian Tribune leads with Rivers crisis deepens. Fubara bans all LGA heads, officials from appearing before Rivers Assembly. Several other riders on the front page, but the details you find on page 3. And the Daily Independent has Rivers crisis gets messier as pro-Fubara speaker emerges. 3 riders to that story as well this morning. That's the much of the papers we are tracking for you today. Which is your take?
Well, my very first story really comes from the New Telegraph. You can have that up there. Why the federal government must review the radicalization program. Retired General DSS Director speaking up there. More on that on pages 3, pages 26, and page 29 of the New Telegraph this morning. They're insisting that ex-combatants must be prosecuted. We've been abandoned by elected politicians, their appointees, Niger villagers, banditry, kidnapping affecting school enrollments in Kaduna, says Governor Sani. So there from the New Telegraph. It's a conversation that has to be had. This de-radicalization program, is it being done the right way? Do we have the facilities, especially with the military? Do we have the competence? Do we have the facilities to actually de-radicalize people? And you know, the military has explained this so many times. Even international organizations have brought this explanation to us. It's not the ones who are doing violent crime, you know, that are part of this de-radicalization program. It's, you know, there are various levels to this insurgency issue. So when it comes to the de-radicalization of people who have been known to be members of a terrorist organization, you're putting them back in society. This happens elsewhere in the world as well, but the capacity to ensure that these people don't go back to their crimes, the capacity to ensure that they actually become functional members of society. That's where the worry is. And the stories that we hear in the news recently do not help, you know, the fears of Nigerians when it comes to the de-radicalization program. So, you know, maybe more communication with the public on how this is being done, more, you know, insights into how this de-radicalization happens. Why is it important? Are there people who are slipping through the cracks? Are we able to do this properly? These are some of the issues with the de-radicalization program, and many Nigerians are very worried, especially in parts of the Northeast, where a lot of these, you know, de-radicalized terrorists are going to be, you know, mixing up in society. How is this being done? That is the major question. And so that story from New Telegraph this morning really stuck out for me. And then, of course, there's this story here from the Guardian newspaper. Inflation is a major determinant of living wage negotiations, says the Nigeria Labour Congress. More on that from page 6. So while we're negotiating, you know, living wage, we have to take into consideration the inflation that's going on there. You know, so yeah, more on that from the Guardian. You can actually pick up a copy, page 6 of the Guardian, and you get the details there. Ayo, what stood out for you this morning?
Let me piggy on the story you picked on earlier, which is when you were talking about the de-radicalization program. Remember the conversation we had, it was yesterday, with Mr. Shinkafi, who was saying that even some members of his family, I mean, he happens to know some people, and then there are people whose parents they know, you know, that are part of, you know, this whole insurgency thing, and it would seem like no one can do anything about it. That is very, very troubling. The fact that we know them, the fact that they are not strangers. In fact, he said, if I remember correctly, he said about at least 80% of the people that are involved in these things, they are homegrown, they are internal, they are not unknown people, they are people that people know. And he also proffered a solution, okay, that we should communicate with them, we should interface with them, we should bring them around the table and have conversations with them to de-radicalize. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, and I think the process has started. The question is, who is listening and who is taking these things seriously? We should, if you are in that space of, you know, of ensuring security works in the country, please look for the conversation we had with everyone we've spoken with on this program about this whole idea of insecurity in several parts of the country. The people involved in most cases are not unknown. So let's not push them any further. But what stands out for me, Kayla, is perhaps something even in the same space, which might help to de-radicalize or even never get them to the space where they are, you know, not radical at all. And that is talking about the story on the front page of the Business Day newspaper, which says, Cocoa Rush, farmers revive old trees amid price surge. And one of the issues that a number of people have had about this matter is the fact that we allow products like our cocoa to go out of the country as raw materials when we can actually sit somewhere, produce this thing, add value. It's one of the things that the president promised when he came into power, value addition to our products. The time he declared an emergency on food security in the country, that is one of the things that the president spoke about. And I think it is something that is very important for us to look at. When we export raw materials. God, we're losing money. We're losing employment. We're losing so many things. We're literally losing national assets to all these things. Is it that these things are impossible in the country? I think not. I'm aware, speaking to an industrialist who was telling us that at some point that people who want to import infrastructure into the country so that we don't export raw materials, it is at the city gate, and I'm talking about the ports, that the people are charged exorbitantly, thereby discouraging them from importing this infrastructure into the country. And I'm wondering why. What's wrong with the ease of doing business? So farmers are reviving old trees amid the surge in prices to their advantage. Are they also going to continue to export the raw materials, or can we begin to produce our own chocolates in this country? Yes, it is capital intensive. Is it impossible? Is it something that cannot be done? Countless questions we should ask ourselves. 200 million people, about 60 to 70% of them are young people. In another 10 years, the 25-year-old is going to be 35. I want to believe that we're thinking about all of these things as we go on as a nation, because it's not just enough to complain.
It's for us all to get together, identify the patriotic element that will make us one, and make Nigeria the country, the great country we want it to be. That's the much of my own comment this morning, and enough of the papers today. Now, let's take a short break. We're bringing you the first conversation now about this cyber crime or cybersecurity levy. Some more perspectives on it, but here's the background.